Okay.
Record in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Lightforge. This is ADWCTA.
This is Merps. This is, once again, we're going to be talking about some cards, but we're 1 week closer to the expansion, Roz.
Rise of Shadows, and we have enough cards now, I think, to make a very I guess we have a decent idea of the power level of the new cards, just from what we've seen so far. Because we've seen like 50 something cards so far. We've seen almost half the cards at this point. And maybe they're just showing us the best ones. But the cards are freaking good. These
They're
are
really good.
powerful cards. Like scary powerful cards. Like makes the old cards that are coming in like not particularly relevant to the arena levels of good.
It's definitely going to be pretty good. But yeah, we can go through it. What do you want to talk about first?
I'm gonna start with maybe not like the best cards, but there's a lot of them, and they are consistently like high premium. Like they're not like your troublesome 200 score cards necessarily, but these are cards I never thought Blizzard would print, and that is the lackeys. We knew the lackeys were going to be good because we saw some lackeys. And the lackeys are 1 mana 1/1s, and they have an ability attached to them that if it were not like if you just add this ability to a card, it would take 2 mana. Usually.
Yeah. So let's go through all of the lackeys again. When you play them, they all have battle cry. So it's a 1 mana 1/1. There's 5 of them. They either discover a spell, they either summon a random 2-cost minion, they either give a friendly minion +1 attack and rush. They either just deal 2 damage to wherever you want, or they transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. So an evolve on a stick.
So okay, maybe it was a little exaggerated to say that it's worth 2 mana, but it's worth more than 1 mana. It's worth like a mana and a half. Deal 2 damage is never just worth 1 mana. So we're at that level, right? Okay, now let's look at what cards generate these. And we're gonna start real basic here. We're gonna start with the common card, Evil Cable Rat. It's a common beast, 2 mana, 1/1. Battlecry, add a lackey to your hand. It does not get more basic than this. So
Yeah.
what does this super basic card do? It adds a lackey. Let's do some math here. A lackey costs 1 mana. So let's say it's a 3 mana card. The 3 mana card that summons 2 1/1s and then a random 2-cost minion. 3 mana cards normally summon like a 2/3 and a 1/1, and then we call it a day. This one's summoning 2 1/1s and a random 2-cost minion. And that's just one of the forms that it can take. You can just hold on to the 1 mana card, right? Like it's so much better to have the option to play the 1 mana card whenever you want than it is to tie it down. You can also look at it as 3 mana, 2 1/1s, and then Battlecry, discover a spell. You can look at it as 3 mana, deal 2 damage, summon 2 1/1s. These are all like totally above average cards by themselves without having a split body. Like without having a split card, not a split body. So that you can play these cards in succession. Think about what is that card that I'm thinking about? 3 mana 2/2 gives you 2 bananas. 3 mana 2/2 gives you 2 bananas.
Oh, I can't think of the name right now either, but everyone knows what you're talking about. Go on.
Okay. So that card exists. It's okay, and that is the equivalent of 5 mana, a 2/2 that gives +2/+2 to a creature.
Right.
So changing something into additional cards that allow you to play it whenever, especially a 1 mana one that you could just throw out, has a insanely like large cost to it normally. But these guys, apparently not so much.
Yeah, the problem I have with the lackeys, more so than their power level, because you do have to anti-tempo to get them a lot of times, right? For these lackey generating cards, It would just be completely busted if they were vanilla cards that gave these things. So it is nice to see that you do have to anti-tempo a little, at least initially, in order to get it. The problem I have with the lackeys is that they're so different. So if you're generating a lackey, discovering a spell is so much different than like giving a minion +1 attack and rush. It just changes the complexity of the game. It changes what the person with the lackey is able to do, but there's no choice to it, right? It's like, because and here's the thing, when you design a game, if you say that, oh, these lackeys are bad, so you're not getting them, then you're making this decision a little bit easier. It's like, okay, I just don't want lackeys. But if you make all the lackeys good and you're like, okay, I want lackeys because they are so good, but you make the goodness so different, it just messes with people, right? It messes with people's game plans, and you just have to accept this a necessary evil, where you're just like, okay, I want lackeys because they're so good, but the effect is like really, really different, and it even opens it up to like more differences as well, right? When you evolve something with a lackey, now everyone has an evolve, and it's like, oh, who knows what can happen. When you discover a spell, it's like, well,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So that's the thing I don't like about lackeys. You're incentivizing people to get them because they are so good, but then the initial effect is so different. And the further forks down the road, for example, with the evolve and the discover spell, that's like, it just opens up a whole world of possibilities, which I understand. Hearthstone likes this. Blizzard likes this. They want to create stories, but it will be frustrating.
And it's getting old. Like, I've told this story before with other cards. I've told them many times. I've told them using all classes. I've told them against all classes. I don't know what other stories these cards are going to tell. But hey, they're going to tell something, because they're going to be used in the arena. All lackey cards, all cards generating lackeys, are going to be very, very good in the arena. Let's go see some other lackey cards. We just gave you the neutral one. We just gave you the plain vanilla, probably worst lackey generating card. Alright, there are, oh my god, the actual lackey cards that you will actually want to play. I mean, you'll want to play that too. But these are going to be the great ones. Here's a Evil Conscriptor. 2 mana,
Yes.
2/2. Death Rattle, add a lackey to your hand. Okay. So 1 mana 1/1 or a 2 mana 2/2. You'd much rather have a 2 mana 2/2. Yeah, it's a Death Rattle, so you can't play it on the same turn. So it's not like as flexible. But still, overall, priests have a 2-drop now. That's something priests have always has always been kind of powerful with whenever priests can get on the board. And Evil Conscriptor allows you to bank some mana while still getting a legit 2-drop out there.
If you think about Tortollan Forager and how good that was, right? Tortollan Forager gave you a card, like, it's a 2 mana 2/2, and it gave you a big card or a bigger card. Lackeys aren't always big, but they can be very big, and also they can be played a lot earlier, right? So if you're discovering a spell off of it, that is big. That is huge for a priest, just any sort of spell, because a lot of their spells aren't necessarily big. It's like card draw, you can get mind control, etc., etc. So if you just remember how good like the Tortollan Forager was, this is really, really freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah, and remember the lackeys, they all bank tempo except for the Discover a Spell one. Heal 2 damage, that's banking tempo. Transform friendly minion, like they evolve, that's banking tempo. Summon a random 2-cost minion, banking tempo. Give a friendly minion +1 attack and rush, banking tempo. 4 of the 5 options bank tempo, and it goes back to what Merp says, which is like, well, but you can't, like, it takes you in very different directions, right? Because one of them does not bank tempo. So if you're trying to use it to bank tempo and you get the draw spell one, you're like, ah, crap, it's not doing what I want it to do. And you have no control over it. But they generally bank tempo, and a priest with bank tempo causes even larger swings. Like one of the effects of these lackeys in general is that they bank tempo, and so whenever you bank tempo, you cause larger swings, more combos.
Yeah,
Not generally things that we like.
and I think when we think about something like evolve mechanic, the evolve mechanic was always fun and people liked it, but I'm willing to bet a lot of it was because it was confined to the shaman class. When every class has an evolve mechanic, it's going to get really, really annoying. Like, you're okay if you face a shot, like once you see a shaman, you're like, all right, some BS is going to happen. Like, there's a possibility for
Mm-hmm.
BS to happen. When that BS potential is always there, it's going to be really frustrating, right? This is why people were really frustrated by MCT. And if they had just made MCT like a shaman or
It's a priest
a
card.
priest
Let's
card,
be real
yeah,
here.
exactly. If they made MCT like a priest card, people would just be like, yeah, it sucks, but yeah, priest, am I right? So it's gonna have that sort of effect. I mean, people aren't going to hate this as much as MCT, but it's the ubiquity of it. It's the fact that it's like, oh, now like crazy random stuff can always happen in any game against any class. It's gonna be very
Yep. Yep. More evil lackey stuff. Evil miscreant, rogue, 3 mana combo, add 2 random lackeys to your hand. We talked about this last time as the first lackey card revealed, but you guys get the idea at this point. This one's even more insane because you have to add 2 lackeys to your hand. In exchange, you can't just like play it on curve. But that's not as big of a downside for a 1/5 as I think Blizzard thinks it is. So Evil Miscreant just ends up being the most insane of all of these. And remember, they're rogue. They use combos. 1 mana cards are really great for combos. So this is I mean, it's gonna be bad, guys. It's gonna be bad. Yeah. So that's my pick for a thing I wanted to talk about that we have seen from Rise of Shadows. When I say these cards are all premium, I mean they're like 150, 140, 160. Like these are all like going to be better than pretty much all the other cards in the game besides the ones you already hate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much true. I'm like just really not looking forward to these lackeys, and maybe we just won't see a lot of them depending on how they're bucketed. But as
Doesn't
Adapta
matter
said,
how they're going to be
these are good.
bucketed. Yeah, unless they're top
Yeah,
half of the first bucket, you're going to see them plenty.
people will want to pick them too, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about how good their cards are, and it's not just about how good they are in relation to the other cards. It's how much people will actually pick them, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the actual human effect of it. This is why Banshee is not picked, and this is why Arena Fanatic is always picked. Like, yeah, Arena Fanatic is bad, but everyone likes to pick it.
It's not bad. It's okay.
It's like okay-ish,
It's
but
bad
people
for the
pick it
bucket.
a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a pick for the next thing you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So I think we can talk about some more twin spells,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps. So let's go to the mage. I wanted to talk about Ray of Frost. This seems to be what Blizzard has been doing with mage. Whenever mage gets like a little bit sort of heavy, right? They tend to trend the other way and make it go a little bit lighter. So now that like Meteor and all these big spells, big AOE's like Blast Wave, we've seen that. Now we have something like Ray of Frost, 1 mana twin spell. Once again, twin spell means after you cast it, you get another version in your hand, and that's it. It doesn't keep on repeating itself like Echo. Freeze a minion. If it's already frozen, deal 2 damage to it. This is just a cool concept. It's just like a very flexible thing that you have. You either have like sort of 2 glacial shards without the body, or you can just do a 2 mana deal 2, which sometimes you just need, right? And it's just helpful. Like it helps out your curve. you can freeze like something really heavy for 2 turns in a row, which could win you the game by going face after that. So I just really like it. It's a nice utility card, and I think it's a good, clever use of the Twinspell because you're copying the same spell, but on the second turn, uh, like or sorry, on the first turn, like the second time you cast it, it just does something different, right?
Yeah, this is a creative use of Twinspell, and it's the only time that they've used Twinspell where the card just hasn't been overpowered. Because you remember Extra Arms, that's a pretty damn overpowered card. It's not like the most premium card, but it's definitely a low premium card. You see the Forest Aid, Twinspell, summon 5/2/2 Treants for 8 mana. That's an insane card. Just the sheer amount of card advantage and the fact that it has all that tempo. That's for Druid. 8 mana, Twinspell, summon 5/2/2 Treants. Like, we covered that before, and, we noted that was insane. I think there's one more Twinspell card. One more or two more? I think just one more Twinspell card. There's one more Twinspell card that we have, and it is in Paladin. And it is Lightforge Blessing. I want to talk about this card specifically because, again, it's not going to be super powered, but you see how powerful Twinspell is. I don't know how good you think this card is. It's 2 mana, Twinspell, give a friendly minion lifesteal. So, on looking at this card, I don't know who has like a good grasp of just how good this card is, but we've algorithmed it out, and okay, it's not a good card.
I was like, wait, what?
Before you guys get your hopes up and be like, what? A pure healing spell is gonna be a good card? It's not a good card, but it is by far better than any other pure healing card. If all the other pure healing cards, if you just look at our tier list, they're like 30, 40, 60 is so amazing. And like, this one is going to be nearly 100. Nearly 100.
Yeah, which is still bad because the average card in your deck is a lot higher than 100.
Yeah. So I'm not saying like, go and pick this card. It's going to be in the 7th bucket. It should be in the 7th bucket. But within the 7th bucket, it's actually pretty good. And whenever you need a card that actually heals you, this is not a bad choice. And why is it not a very bad choice? Because Lifesteal repeatedly heals you. It shuts down things like Hunter's Win Condition. And if it gets killed, which is what they're going to try to do when you get a Lifesteal mini and they're trying to hit your face, guess what? You have another one. So your one card is going to actually heal you a lot.
And, it counts for something.
Yeah, and part of it is the guarantee, right? As long as you have something on the board, it's going to heal you for something. And then they have to remove your thing, which usually takes resources that would have otherwise gone to your face. So it actually protects your face really, really freaking well. And yeah, it's just interesting uses of Twinspell all around. I thought they were just going to do more stuff like Extra Arms or like that Druid card that we were talking about before, the Forest Aid. Then you're just summoning things and you're getting another one, or you're like dealing 3 damage and like you summon another card that deals 3 damage and you're like, all right, whatever. But they got really creative with this, and I really like it because these are, I don't know what they'll do in Constructed, but in Arena, Lightforge Blessing and Ray of Frost, they're both like perfectly balanced, usable Arena cards. And that's been interesting because I thought all the Twinspell cards are just going to be overpowered in Arena.
Yep. All right. Did you have something you wanted to talk about? Because I know what I want to talk about.
Sorry. One more Twinspell card to go into before we get off the topic. Unleash the Beast, which is Hunter, and it is a 6 mana Twinspell. Summon a 5/5 Wyvern with Rush. This goes back to the thing I was afraid of, right? Like removals, just summoning things. This is both a removal and a summon thing, so it's like extra ridiculously powerful. Yeah, that's gonna be a great card for Hunter. Not Merps Hunter, but Hunter.
Yeah, and we'll see how viable this sort of Hunter is going to be, right? Like this is in a vacuum, just a very good card. I think anyone looking at it, you're just like, yeah, this is good. But
insanely
whether or not,
good, more than 150 points guaranteed.
Yeah. But whether or not this style of Hunter can actually succeed, that is still yet to be seen. But it's good that you brought up this card because I think something that we are seeing is Blizzard is creating good late game cards for all classes.
Mm-hmm.
They're creating these big late game cards that can't really go face, or they're not aggressively oriented, but they want them to be good and they want them to interact with the board, right?
Yeah, so like
So
examples, we were talking about the Forest Aid. We just talked about Unleash the Beast, which is Hunter. The Forest Aid was Druid. Mage has Power of Creation, which we had talked about
yep.
before. 8 mana, discover a 6-cost minion, summon 2 copies of it. That's just an insanely good value card. Easy to tell, right? Because 6 plus 6 is 12, and you spend 8 mana on it, and you get to discover it. Okay. But yeah, Paladin, not yet. But Priest has a card that's 9 mana, Mass Resurrection, resurrect 3 different friendly minions. That's gonna be a good card. Even if you just think of like the average minion on the board as well, like a 4/4 or something. That's 9 mana for like 4/4/4/4/4/4. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and we still have rush minions. We still have some big taunts, right? Like
Yeah.
you have your bog creepers. You still have the Etten
Yeah.
around.
And tokens are much fewer now than they used to be. Although the lackeys may swing things one way or the other, depending on how frequently they appear. But overall, your Boomsday tokens all gone. Rastakhan tokens all gone. Your worm gone. So
Yep.
the resurrect is not as like, I know as soon as you see like resurrect random minions, you're like triggered. You're like, oh, that time I got a 1/1. Namely, every time I try to resurrect anything. But you're a priest, right? You can do better than that, especially when you put this card in your deck.
You should. So we should also talk about like shaman, right? This is
Yes.
when they really kind of solidified as like, hey, we are printing good big things that can't go face. So Walking Fountain is a common elemental, 8 mana, 4/8. So just 1 mana more than like Storm Chaser, and it has Lifesteal, Rush, and Wind Fury. So initiative, healing. You get 2 hits with it, and it's an elemental as well. They really wanted to print something and give it to Sean and be like, hey, it costs a lot, and I know that that's always been rough in Hearthstone, because if it costs a lot, it either needs to be insanely good right away, or it needs to be kind of enable sort of like a big combo thing, right? Like this is why we see like Malgos all the time. This is why we see like Valen sometimes. But Walking Fountain, they created something that they're just like, yeah, this is just a really good thing. You can plop it down. It has synergy. It has tribal synergy too, and then you can heal and remove stuff from the board.
Yeah. The heal is 8, by the way, if you have 2 targets that's not the opponent's face. Or the same target that you get hit twice. That's 8 on the turn you play it. That's really, 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 really good for healing your face. And remember, we were talking about this before with when we were looking over all the cards coming in to the next rotation for Arena, which is Witchwood and Old Gods and Mean Streets of Gajazan and Nax. And we said you're going to heal face a lot more. There's a lot more face healing cards than there were before. This one just makes the healing face even more. And we saw that Paladin card that can heal face very well with the lifesteal. So this is going to definitely be a theme. Meanwhile, I haven't seen a lot of reach cards. You haven't seen a lot of reach cards. This may be like a pretty bogged down meta for this expansion.
No, this expansion definitely seems to be focused on healing and combo breaking, right? So we don't really need to talk about like a lot of these combo breaking cards, but I do want to point them out. So, for example, the Paladin spell, 5 mana epic spell called Duel with a exclamation mark. Summon a minion from each player's deck. They fight. Look, not great for arena and not really applicable, but you have that, and you also have Unseen Saboteur as well, which is a 6 mana 5/6 with Battle Cry. This is a neutral card, by the way. Your opponent casts a spell from their hand with targets chosen randomly. So Blizzard is really just saying, look, combo decks, OTK decks are sort of a plague upon the meta right now, and we want to give players more of an opportunity to break up these combos. So we have a lot of heals, a lot of combo breaking, and the heals are definitely applicable for arena. Like combo breaking is not something that is applicable at all in
Mm-mm.
the arena, and it just makes these spells like
These are bad
very,
cards.
yeah.
Like, also, like, I don't know, Hecklebot. 4 mana, 3/8 taunt battlecry. Your opponent summons a minion from their deck. No, 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 no. You have a card that has 2 more, like, health than it should, and in exchange, your opponent gets something from their deck? Like, not into their hand, just, like, on the board. Like, plop a 4/4/5/5 down on the board. Nope. You don't want to put a bot into your deck. Something else this expansion looks like it's doing is, if you go down back and look at Messenger Raven. 3 mana, 3/2. Battlecry, discover a mage minion. Then you look at, like, Hench Clan Burglar. 4 mana, 4/3. Battlecry, discover a spell from another class. So remember back in the day when you had a Gnomish Inventor that was a 4 mana, 2/4, and you just, like, drew a card?
Yep.
These get to discover a card from another class, which, if you are constructed, this is not as good as drawing a card from your deck, right? You don't progress your deck, you don't have control over what you're getting, really. It's just worse. And so you get compensated for it by making the stat line better. In Arena, it's not really worse. Discovering a spell from another class is probably better than, like, drawing a card from your deck, or, like, about the same. So these are all just very powerful cards in the arena. And whenever we see an effect like this, you know that these are powerful arena cards. When this is something I didn't, like, fully realize because I don't think about constructed as much until the last number of months. When I was balancing Gods Unchained for the first time, and I got to these mechanics where we're, like, adding random stuff, or, like, doing our version of discover or limited randomness or whatever. Anytime you throw randomness into the game, it's an arena card. It's a limited card because it's just so much better in the limited format than it is in the constructed format. Especially when you're adding cards into your hand, because that's just a very set thing. Cards in your hand never screw you over. They never do anything like that you would not want, right? A card is a card. They're just more powerful or less powerful. And when you don't really have a very solid game plan, you're always willing to take on more randomness. So you have to make a choice when you're designing these cards. They're either going to be viable and constructed and really freaking good in arena, or they're not going to see the light of day in constructed, and they're going to be, like, the right power level in arena. And Blizzard has taken this to kind of the next level. Like, these cards are going to be constructed more than constructed viable, I think. And so they're going to be arena monsters.
Yep. All right. So we still have a lot of cards that have yet to be seen, and especially the boring neutral cards, which are always meta defining in some way, right? This is what always happens. They leave a lot of the kind of just uninteresting cards that they don't want to give to these big streamers and personalities to be revealed, but they always end up impacting the meta in a huge way. So I remember for Old Gods, we didn't see Bog Creeper and Cyclotron until the big dump.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as you saw it, you're just like, okay, yeah, these two are going to be huge, impact cards for the arena. So we have a taste of what is happening with the classes and the relative power level, but we don't know, right? We don't know. We could get some neutral 2 mana 2/4 with, like, a small downside, and that could be like, oh my gosh, neutral 2 mana 2/4. We could just
Sorry,
get
that'll just be in the 7th bucket, because average players will look at the small downside and go, oh no, the sky is falling, this is the worst thing ever. I cannot possibly show my opponent one card in my deck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what about 2 mana 2/4 burns 5 cards from your deck? Hmm.
I mean, I think that would actually be a pretty balanced card.
I think
like
so
an
as
actually
well,
balanced
right?
card, not like a
I
really
know.
good card. Like, but that would be a card
That would be
literally nobody
interesting.
takes,
No
except
one would take that.
unless
No
you
one
know
would
what you're
ever
doing.
take that.
Yeah.
But I created a balanced card.
Hey,
You're welcome,
hey.
Blizzard.
So yeah. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I'm more worried about what we've seen so far, because what we've seen so far. So on the bright side, we haven't seen anything that's like, besides legendary cards. There's some ridiculous legendary cards.
There are some absolutely disgusting legendaries.
Like if you thought like Lord Godfrey was like, oh my god, Lord Godfrey ruins my games. Oh no, I'm so glad. What was that Paladin card?
What?
The Paladin legendary.
Oh, Tarim?
Yeah, I'm so glad Tarim is rotating out. No, it's gonna be way worse. It's already way worse. Like, even if they have no other legendaries, which to be fair, they don't have a lot of legendaries left to reveal. It's gonna be worse. But they're legendaries. What can you do about it? And we've already shown, right? There's going to be a lot more swing. MSG already causes a lot of swing. Well, MSG causes rock, paper, scissors. But on top of rock, paper, scissors, what Rise of Shadows is doing is increasing the swing and increasing the RNG. Of the cards revealed so far, more than half have RNG in it. That's kind of a silly percentage when you consider last year how much they limited RNG. Now they're just like really leaning into this RNG thing. All the lackey cards are basically RNG, right? I'm not saying they have like the most ridiculously bad for the game RNG, but there's just so much of it. Like when MSG first came out, the tri-class cards that discovered cards from the other classes, I don't remember a single player who was like, oh, that's a terrible RNG. I think everybody was like, we love Discover. This is gonna be great, or at least okay. And then once the meta came out, no one complained. And then a month later, some people complained. And 2 months later, everybody freaking complained because you couldn't make any reads anymore. So I think there's gonna be like that kind of effect here, where there's just so much RNG, and they're attached to cards that are so good that they're going to be everywhere in the arena. And all your powerful cards, like 75% of the most powerful cards in ROS is for arena is RNG.
Yep.
That's not a good thing generally.
No, and once again, I'm hoping it's just because all of the boring cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Haven't been revealed. And this is typically what we see, right? A lot of the weird cards.
It never revealed. Gets this bad though, I think. Like,
no,
it's so tilted.
Yeah, it has been very, very tilted. So yeah. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, it's been very strange.
Yeah, like I'm saying, these RNG that I'm seeing, they're not like bad RNG on its face. They're not even like, it's not like the whole card is RNG, right? It's like a small portion of the card is RNG to give that extra flavor or that extra pizzazz or like whatever. But it's gonna just add up. I don't know. Between large swings of the added RNG and MSG coming back, this is gonna be rough. You guys know I thought that Blizzard has no chance in hell of balancing this next meta in 2 months. No chance in hell. If balance means that skill is going to be able to shine through, not that they're going to get a 50% win rate with each class, which they will, because that's really easy. That's hitting a button. Now that I've seen some of these cards, definitely no way in hell. It would be difficult. On one hand, I do feel better about Blizzard's decision to make Arena go wild rotation instead of being standard, because standard Arena with these cards, it's just not going to be as balanced as I wanted it to be anyway. Like, I thought they were going to keep up last year's traditions of like creating cards in good range, doing stuff, but this has gone crazy in many directions, both in power level and in RNG, like minor bits of RNG added to cards. And also in combo, and in, like Merp said, like cards that are about combo breaking, or like very specific cards that basically are unplayable in the arena. So something else you'll notice is that the card pool, if we had just like, if we didn't have old cards coming back, or if you consider old cards old because you played with them before, not because you haven't seen them in a year, and so they're like, pretty new actually. You're not going to see a lot of the new cards. And the new cards that you are going to see, you're going to see all the time. Because there are very, very good new cards and very, very, very bad new cards. The last time we saw something like this was like Boomsday, and that wasn't that there were so many very very good new cards, but there were a lot of very very bad new cards because it was a pretty combo heavy set. We're kind of seeing the same thing here. So you're just like, think back to what Boomsday added to the arena. It's not that much. Like here, they're going to be adding all the annoying cards you hate because they're all unbalanced and they win or lose the game for you based on when you draw it and what conditions like things are, not based on your skill. And then the other cards you're just not going to see, at least of the class cards. Neutral cards we haven't seen much of, so who knows what's going to happen there.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of this stuff, and also we do have to keep in mind it's like we're focusing a lot on this expansion, but the meta is defined by everything together, right? Everything. And do we know if there's an offering bonus for this set?
They didn't say they were taking it away, so presumably
Right.
there is 50%. That's how I've been calculating things. So yeah, 50% offering bonus, especially on things like spells, gonna be a problem. And even when they're not spells, like some of these things just repeat, right? Like lackeys is the theme. We haven't even seen all the lackey cards, I'm pretty sure. So you're gonna just see a lot of lackeys. I don't know. It's gonna be a weird meta, and I don't think in a good way. One more card that I guess we have to talk about because it is one of the most powerful cards ever printed. It is Unidentified Contract for Rogue. 6 mana, destroy a minion, gains a bonus effect in your hand. The bonus effect is like 2 coins or like a betrayal effect. Yes, on a hard removal. I don't know, some other stuff that basically has that kind of power level. And
Get 2 coins. That's the worst one.
yeah, the
Yeah.
get 2 coins one. But yeah, it's really powerful. It's designed to be really powerful. I don't think anyone looked at it and was like, eh, whatever. But like I said, right, these little kinds of little randomness that you're like, oh, it's probably okay to have this kind of randomness. What these little randomness do is not only make it so it's pretty much impossible to eventually predict what your opponent's going to do, but on top of that, they allow these cards to be balanced for constructed and insanely overpowered for arena. That's what a little bit of randomness is really good at doing.
Yeah, and one of the ways that they balance it as well is have it do very different things, which is a negative, right? But it's a negative in many ways. It's a negative in like in turn play. So it necessarily can't be as powerful because when you put it into your deck, you don't exactly know what it's going to do. But once again, this is the lackey effect where because it is just on its base so good, you're going to like strive to get this card and then just accept whatever happens with it, right? So unidentified contract, you're just going to accept whatever happens, but the results are so different. So one of the results is you get a stealth 1/1 poison, so like like assassin, right?
This
You
is
get an
Unidentified
assassin.
Contract.
Right. This is off of the unidentified contract. And how different is getting that assassin from getting 2 coins, right?
Right. Or from getting a betrayal effect when you're just
Or
killing
from
one thing.
exactly, or from getting a betrayal effect. It's so different in terms of what you need at that moment and like not only your expectations whenever you draw it, but your opponent's expectation as well, right? Like when you play something, you're like, well, okay, so I have to factor in the 1/5 chance that they can screw me over with that 1/1 assassin because I only have another big drop in my hand. But if they don't have that, I'm okay. So you have to do these things where it's like, okay, well, 80% of the time I'm okay, right? The same thing with the lackeys. It's like, all right, I just hope that they don't have the deal 2 damage one, or I hope they don't have the rush one. And then when you compound this over and over again with the unidentified contract, with the lackeys, whenever they discover a random spell, right? It's like, oh, as long as they don't have this sort of spell. So you get back to this problem. And like where all these cards are good, so you can't play around it. Uh, and it's just going to get really, really messy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think usually when we're reviewing these cards, especially when there's only like half a set, less than half a set that's out, like a little over a third of a set, we're pretty generous. We don't really think like, things are bad, especially not for class cards. Usually if we think things are bad, it's because the neutral card is doing something we really don't like, or it's like insanely powerful. But these class cards are they're really going to define the meta, unless the neutral cards are also as ridiculous, which hopefully they're not, but we know, you don't know. So far the neutral cards we've seen are pretty in check. Even the evil cable rat, which has the lackey effect, which we noted was always going to be super powerful. Even that one is not like super uber premium. And the other ones we've seen are all like they're really good neutral cards, but they're not super problematic. So this set seems to be okay on that front so far. But yeah, these class cards. Well, it's gonna be interesting. And for the first month, when you don't expect things to be balanced anyway, like even in the normal meta, even if they're not doing this crazy wild rotation thing, it's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna be better than fine. I think it's gonna be better than if they just did a normal set. But this set for Arena is not a normal set. The rules that they're putting into Arena are new, but even beyond that, Rise of Shadows is not a normal Arena set. It is a MSG-like set for the Arena. And MSG is coming back. So it's gonna be interesting.
This is the fear, right? Where you're just like, at least MSG is being tempered. But you have just MSG 2.0.
Well, I never expected it to be balanced anyway, so I guess we're just going deeper into this, and that's fine. We can't avoid it, right? Because it's like Blizzard's developing for Constructed. We're along for the ride, and this set's coming out. We were hoping they were going to do more of what they did last year, but I guess if you look at the results of what they did last year, it was like pretty bad financially for them, like player base wise. It was just kind of all really bad for them. So maybe they feel like they have to do these crazy, like unbalanced RNG kind of things more than they were doing before. Maybe the balance team was doing too good of a job last year, and this time they're like, yeah, maybe just letting it a little crazy. Either way, crazy is fun in the arena too, to a certain extent, and we'll see all the cards. I'm very excited about this expansion because I really don't know what's going to happen to the meta specifically, like which class is going to do what. There's too many new variables being thrown at you. I could guess the general speed. I could tell you which cards are the best, but we don't know where any of these things are bucketed. We don't know where half of the old cards that are being added in are bucketed. Like, all of that have huge effects on the meta. So for the first, 2 weeks, maybe month, I don't think anyone's gonna have an idea of the meta. And then when they rebalance stuff and they not rebalance, like when they rebucket stuff and micro adjust stuff, it's just gonna get all changed again. Like, this is going to be like an event meta for the first 3 months at least. Like Taverns of Time style, almost
Tavern Dreamer,
almost that bad, if not that bad. But like I said, at least at least they're doing it. They're doing this now, right? Because this was never going to be balanced, and so the set would have. I think the set would have upset me a lot more if it were in the last expansion or the expansion before that or the expansion before that. Coming out now, it's kind of like, all right, you got a consistent philosophy. I see what you're doing now, Blizzard. I was confused, but that's because I thought you may have wanted something, but that's not even close to your plans. And that's all right. Okay. Any question from the GOAT for this week? We don't have card good bads until the set is fully released and we're done reviewing every card. So.
Well, this is something that someone asked me on stream recently, but essentially, because we talk about Hearthstone all the time, right? And it's been a while. It's like, what other games are you playing these days, or are you looking forward to for this year?
For this year, what other games? I talk about how I played Smash a lot. I don't play it a lot, but I
still
follow
play
it. I haven't in the last week and a half, but I've been like really busy with other stuff. Yeah, I mean, you guys should know I'm moving out of New York. I haven't decided exactly where, but it's gonna happen in May. And I'll let you guys know when I know more. So that's gonna be very exciting. I've been looking forward to moving out of New York for the last 3-4 years, and it's just really freaking hard to move out of New York. Actually, um, like the employment opportunities elsewhere are just not the same. So it's really good. I have some offers from really good places. In terms of games I'm looking out to come out this year, uh, I don't know if there's any single player I'm like game that I'm like really
Pokemon Sword and
waiting to
Shield.
get out. That new Zelda game made by the creators of Crypt of the Necromancer. Just like what the hell? Like if you know anything about that, Crypt of the Necromancer is like a rhythm based dungeon crawler. It's so weird and it's like indie. It's pixel art, and then Nintendo gave them the license to make a Zelda version of it, like a whole new game, but with like Zelda. And you get to control Link and Zelda. And so I'm just really looking forward to that for no other reason than that's going to be amazing, or else Nintendo wouldn't have given the license. And this is like a really good indie developer with a really good and unique kind of like core concept idea that they're just creating part two of. So I think it's almost guaranteed to be great. I'm obviously looking forward to Gods Unchained being released. That's the game I'm the lead balance designer for. We've had some engineering based setbacks because we're just growing the team, and so beta's been kind of delayed a little bit, like open beta. But open beta is coming. Fingers crossed. They just released information today that it's coming in June, in the middle of June sometime. And so when that comes, all you got to do is buy a pack, and then you're in the beta and you're playing the game. Right now, we have like a closed beta of like a few hundred people that are playing and testing. But that's going to be good because all the systems are coming in. I'm going to be doing some nice hardcore balancing. We've already had all the cards designed for like so many months that it's just good to see people finally like playing with them, and more people doing that. So when it releases, it's going to be hype.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You?
Just Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's it.
That's true. It can't possibly be a disappointment, right? Like they've waited so long to do something like this.
Well, no, it can't be a disappointment because they follow the same formula every single time, and every single time everyone loves it because they follow the same formula. So no, it can't be a disappointment. Like they've created something that I thought was not possible. You just do the same thing, exactly the same thing over and over again. Like people say Final Fantasy is the same thing, but no. There's a lot of changes to Final Fantasy. Pokemon literally does the exact same thing every single generation. They just like have different Pokemon, right? And the designs are getting really weird. And then every single generation, people love it. People scoop it up. People like me, we buy it and we're just like, oh my gosh, it's so revolutionary. The main character has like pockets now, or something dumb like that, right? It's like, oh my gosh, Generation 7 brought pockets to the main character. That's
the
it.
Technology.
We're gonna eat it up. That's yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's Question from the Go. Question from the Go brought to you by our patrons, patreon.com/grinninggoat. Thank you guys for all of your support. The schedule coming up for our stream. So on YouTube, we actually have a number of 11 and 12 win runs that have been being uploaded in the last couple weeks. I know we stopped for 2 weeks because we like ran out, but then we got a whole bunch. So the last one is going to come up sometime in the next few days. And I say the last one, but we have like 4 more streams, so probably there's going to be one more after that as well. And our schedule for streaming is going to be Sunday, Merps, Monday, Merps, Tuesday, April 2nd, me, and that's the last Rastakhan stream. And after that, the Sunday after that, which is going to be right before the release, so that would be April 7th. April 7th, is going to be our massive, we try to keep it at 6 hours. It ends up going 12 hours. Massive long Lightforge tier list valuation stream where we go over everything card by card. We take a couple stabs at the meta. We talk some strategy. It's a good time. Tune in for that stream and it's going to start an hour earlier than the Lightforge usually starts to give us a little more time. So it's going to start at 5 p.m. New York time. And that's April 7th. And as we usually do at the end of expansions, the 2 streams before that are canceled. So the April 5th Friday stream is canceled, and the April 8th Monday stream is canceled. The Friday stream is canceled, so we have more time to work on the algorithm and get things to you because it's following the card dump. The Monday stream is canceled because it's the day before the new expansion is launched, and no one freaking wants to be playing the old meta anymore. What also is going to follow, and we haven't announced this yet, but we are going to have streams one way or the other for you from Tuesday, April 9th, all the way through Tuesday, April 16th. One entire week of streaming. It's going to be either me solo or Merp solo or us together. But yeah, I think it's mostly going to be me. You're super busy with work, right?
Yeah, really busy.
Yeah, so it may be favoring on me, but I'm excited to dig into the wild rotation meta and figure it out. All the old cards coming back will definitely make me happy, and so that's going to be a good time too. And then we go back to our normal stream schedule of Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Sundays after the 16th. So that's gonna be it for us. Tune into the next Lightforge next week after the card dump, when we will go over everything, and it will be long and glorious. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's it.
Well, that's it from us. Until next week, this is ADWCTA.
This is Merps. See you guys. Okay.
All right. So the stream's not over. I'll be doing a solo stream after this, but Merps is gone, and you got to give me a couple seconds to export everything and do the stuff. How's it going, guys? How are your weekends? What's up, Tex?
Gonna be filled with work, and also let me just say,